Hello, friends. Welcome, friends. Just couple of days back, our Honorable Minister of Telecommunication, Mr. Jyotirada Scindia, he made an announcement saying that BSNL is aiming to install 100K towers by March 2025. So this is his announcement. Now, in this video, I am going to try to answer a very important question. How will BSNL manage to provide pan-India 4G services with just 100K towers? And why this question is important? Because of an analysis which I did just a few months back, and this is on 15th of April 2024. Now, if you look at this analysis, on 15th of April 2024, I was able to extrapolate certain tower numbers, and this was 31st, on date 31st December 2023. So basically, on 31st December 2023, Bharati had 3.08 lakh towers pan India, Vodafone Idea 1.83 lakh towers pan India, and Reliance Jio around 3.4 lakh towers pan India, and BSNL is 70K towers pan India. Now this includes everything. This basically includes everything. So whatever I am basically talking about here, it includes 2G as well as 3G and 4G and 5G all together. So these are towers, these are not base station. Now as regards base stations are concerned, the numbers are different. So if you look at BTSs, the total BTSs Bharti has had on 31st December was 9.06 lakhs, Vodafone Idea 4.39 lakhs, BSNL 2.12 lakhs, and Reliance Jio 13.22 lakhs, with a grand total of around 29 lakhs. So this is the number. Now then I bifurcated 5G BTSs separately, and I created a trend of 5G BTSs for for Bharti and then for Reliance Jio. So the towers were also extrapolated. Okay. So you can basically see that as regards 4G is concerned, I am assuming that Bharti and Reliance Jio, of course, in all the towers Reliance Jio will have 4G. Bharti will, most of the towers of 3 lakh 8,000 will have 4G. Now BSNL did not have any 4G at that particular point of time because BSNL has just started rolling out. So I'm assuming that these towers, which is 0.0770 lakhs towers the BSNL had, that will be primarily 2G and 3G, because at that particular point of time. Now BSNL is aiming to deploy how much? 100K towers means 1 lakh towers. So they will expand this number, which was 70,000 to 1,000, 1 lakh by March 2025. So they will have a 4G footprint of 100K towers, versus assuming that Bharti has got 3 lakhs and Reliance Jio also has around 3.5 lakhs towers, right? So BSNL has will have one third the number of towers which Bharti and Reliance Jio will have. It will be less than 1/3 of the tower by March 2025. So that's why this question becomes very relevant to discuss. Now friends, what I have done is I will take you through certain concepts before I give you the answer. So first, let's go to this particular chart. Let's go to the chart which will describe the concept. Now, this chart gives you a layered network architecture. Now, if you look at this network, you will find that the network which is below is of frequency 800, 700, 900 megahertz, which is the sub-gigahertz band. Then you have the network which is on top will be 1800 and 2100 megahertz band. Then we have got 2300 megahertz and 2500 megahertz band, and then we have the 3500, which I have not drawn not to make the chart cluttered. Now this diagram, which is a layered diagram for different frequencies laid over in the same tower location. So this is the tower location where multiple base stations are located. So it has been drawn with an intent. So what I have done is that I have shown the downlink of emanating out of the base station with a coverage which is slightly more. compared to the uplink coverage, which I have explained in many of my videos, that uplink coverages are always low compared to the downlink coverage. Why? Because downlink coverage will have higher power emanating from the base station, whereas the handset has got limitation. This is the handset which has got limitation, and therefore it is not able to drive enough power to reach the base station. So your coverage is always determined by the uplink, not the downlink. Okay, so that's an important point of consideration. So you will find that as you go higher the frequency bands, you will find that the downlink coverage will shrink, as well as the uplink coverage will shrink proportionate to the frequency band which you are going to use, because higher the frequency, lower the coverage. Similarly, as you go in the 23 and 2500 megahertz band, the coverage will be much shorter than what you will have in the low frequency band. This is a concept everybody understands, so there is no point in discussing this concept further, right? Now, let's talk about BSNL first. Now, BSNL has spectrum in what band? It has spectrum in 700 megahertz band, in 900 megahertz band, 2100 megahertz band, and 2500 megahertz band, apart from the 3500 megahertz band, which are not drawn here because I am focusing only on 4G here. So if BSNL has to deploy 4G, which band it is going to choose? It is going to choose the band of 700 megahertz band, right? Because in the 900 megahertz band, it has deployed 2G. And the 2100 megahertz band can be an option, but currently it might have 3G there. But it has to uproot their 3G network, the base station, and use it for 4G. Okay, so that's BSNL probably will do as you move forward in time. And 2500 also BSNL can deploy 4G. So this might be a vacant spectrum. This might be a new spectrum, 2100 for BSNL, and the 700 is a new spectrum. Everybody knows BSNL is deployed 4G in 700 megahertz band, and 900 is being used by 2G. So if you look at the BSNL spectrum map on a circle basis, which I'm showing here, you will find that, so this is the 700 megahertz band for BSNL, right? So if you look at here, BSNL has what? 10 megahertz of 700 pan India. So look at this. This is 10 megahertz of 700 pan India, right? On top of it, I have overlaid the 2100 megahertz band of BSNL also. You'll see BSNL has 10 megahertz of 2100 pan India, except in Delhi and Rajasthan, right? So if BSNL wants, they can dismantle this the 3G in 2100 megahertz band and can deploy 4G. Now the problem is the following: the 100K number of sites which BSNL is targeting to deploy, for which the 2100 megahertz band will become useless. Why it will become useless? Because if you look at Bharati's and Reliance Jio's towers, the number of towers that they have significant number of towers. As I told you, they have Reliance Jio, Bharati has around more than 3 lakh towers. Reliance Jio also has 3.4 lakh towers, and it might be reaching 3.5 lakh towers. So the number of tower density as far as Bharati and Reliance Jio is concerned is significantly higher compared to what BSNL is going to have, what they are targeting, and therefore BSNL's 2100 megahertz band is going to be almost useless as far as pan-India coverage is concerned. You can't expect, because even if you take these two operators as reference, Bharati and Reliance Jio, they still are struggling to have a pan-India coverage. They still do not have 100% pan-India coverage, because if you look at their report, they still mention 99 point something, right? 98 point something. So this is not going to give them pan-India coverage. Very clear. This 2100 megahertz band. See, if 2100 megahertz band cannot give them pan-India coverage, 2500 megahertz band will also not give them pan-India coverage. So BSNL has to rely on only 700 megahertz band for pan-India coverage, right? That's all we have understood. So what will happen is, BSNL, if you look at this network, this diagram again, let's go to this diagram. BSNL capacity as far as 4G is concerned is going to be limited to whatever spectrum that they have in 700 megahertz band, and the coverage will also be determined by 700 megahertz band. So this is 10 megahertz here. So BSNL has got a downlink of 10 megahertz and an uplink of 10 megahertz, and most of the time this is the coverage or the network that is going to be used, because the higher networks are not going to give any ubiquitous coverage. The coverage is going to shrink, and therefore it's not going to be useful. The second point is that if you want to use the higher spectrum band, right? Along with the low frequency band, which is the 700 megahertz, you need to have devices with CA capability, carrier aggregation capability. Now, as soon as you get carrier aggregation capability in devices, the device becomes a little complex. Even as I've been telling in multiple videos, the 700 megahertz band was a wrong choice because this doesn't have ecosystem of 4G devices, and on top of which if you start doing carrier aggregation with the 2100 and with 2500, you can imagine the complexity of the device will become. So you can rule out that carrier aggregation, especially in the low cost device. It's going to be impossible. So how much capacity BSNL will have? BSNL will have only 10 megahertz of capacity for uplink and downlink. Now the point comes that people may say, oh, by the way, 700 megahertz band is going to have a better coverage compared to 800 megahertz band or the 900 megahertz band because it's a much lower frequency, right? That is what the point is that. But you will be surprised to know that all these three bands, whether it is 800, whether it is 700 or 900, the coverage is actually same. It is not different. And this is going to be a surprise for many people. And why? Because everybody knows that the RF waves travels with the speed of light, right? Which is 3 into 10 to the power 5 kilometers per second, right? That is the speed of light, right? Now, what you do, how do you calculate lambda? Lambda is the wavelength of RF wave. We have the equation C is equal to frequency and into lambda. So this is the equation, right? Simple equation. So lambda is equal to what? C divided by F, velocity of light divided by frequency, right? Now, if you calculate lambda for 700 and 800 megahertz band, taking the mid-band central frequency on which the operators are operating, you will get a lambda by 4. Lambda by 4 is important. Let me tell you why lambda by 4 is important. For 700, it is 10.34 centimeter, and for 800, it is 9 centimeter. Now, lambda by 4 is the minimum length of the handset which you should actually have in order to do an optimal reception of signal emanating out of the base station or transmitting to the base station when you are transmitting to the base station when the uplink direction. Now, why it is important? Because the reception antenna which is present in the device, the length has to be lambda by 4 for optimal reception. If it is less than lambda by 4, the reception is not going to be optimal, transmission is not going to be optimal. So you will imagine that 700 devices have to be of higher length size compared to the 800 megahertz devices, but you will not see devices of different length size. You will have devices roughly around the same sizes for each and every band. So what happens is that for 700 megahertz band, there is going to be certain loss, right? Both in the reception as well as in the transmission. If you assume the 800 megahertz 0 dB, right, loss, then 700 will be some 2 dB or 1 dB depending upon how you can configure the length of the device. So what happens is that even though the coverage of 700 megahertz band is going to be slightly higher, it is going to be compensated by this constraint over the length of the device. So you will have the similar coverage as far as all these three bands are concerned. There will be no difference. So whether you are operating in 800, whether you are operating in 700, whether you are operating in 900, you will have similar coverage. Now, given this situation, because the downlink is higher and the uplink is shorter, the coverage of the BSNL network will be determined by the uplink capability of the handset and the quality of the handset, because there could be cheaper handset which may not have this length and the antenna design may be very poor. So whatever coverage that you are getting for a device which is high quality, let's say iPhone or Samsung Galaxy phone, the coverage may be better because the design of the phone is going to be better. So that coverage will shrink for poorer quality device, cheaper quality device. So what will happen is that this coverage that you are seeing here, the uplink coverage, the coverage is always determined in uplink. So for devices which are better quality, the coverage may be higher, and the devices which are of poorer quality, the coverage will be shorter. So you will find that some subscribers will get a better coverage, some subscriber will get a poorer coverage, depending upon the quality of devices that they are going to use. So therefore, this is not going to be just about CA, because CA is anyway not going to be applicable as far BSNL network is concerned, because the 2100 will not have the adequate BTS density to provide coverage. Only 700 megahertz is going to be available, and that too will determine by the quality of the handset you are going to use. So in my view, 100K density of base stations or the towers for BSNL is not going to be sufficient compared to if you compare with Bharati as well as Reliance Jio. Now there is one more flavor to this discussion. Let's go to Bharati, right? That will be very interesting to see. Now, if you look at Bharati's network, again, I have basically drawn this two separately. If you look at, this is basically the 900 megahertz Bharati's network. Let me just take my pen, because then the discussion is going to be much more fruitful. So you'll find that 900 megahertz Bharati's network, different circles have different quantum spectrum. For example, AP has 9 megahertz, Assam has 15 megahertz, Bihar has 12 megahertz, Delhi has only 6 megahertz, Gujarat has 4.2 megahertz, and HP has 10, JK and 15. So you'll find that the unimportant circles have got higher quantum of spectrum as far as 900 is concerned. But the important circle, for example, Delhi only has 6 megahertz, Gujarat has got 4.2 megahertz, if you say Mumbai has got 5 megahertz, and then UP West, they don't have any spectrum, UP is at 10 megahertz. So Bharati's 900 megahertz capacity is very poor. It's very clear from this diagram, right? So for Bharati's customer, in order to get a good quality 4G service, there are two problems. First, the 900 megahertz coverage is poor, is not good. Second, maybe a certain portion of the 900 megahertz band is used for providing 2G services. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. So there could be a small portion of the spectrum can be used. So it may be possible that for 4G, only 5 megahertz is used wherever is possible, right? That is what might have happened. So for Bharati, 4G capacity is going to be only 5 megahertz versus BSNL's 4G capacity of 10 megahertz in the low frequency band, which is 900/700. This is important to understand. But Bharati has got what? The 1800 megahertz band and the 2100 megahertz band. So I am showing 2100 megahertz band here. So if I take the 1800 megahertz band for Bharati and then I filter out Bharati, you will see that 1800 megahertz band, Bharati has a very good coverage. So let me just show, very good capacity as far as 1800 is concerned. So you'll find that in 1800 megahertz band, all over the country, the quantum of spectrum as far as Bharati is concerned is very, very good. Except Delhi and maybe even Mumbai, it is better. So Delhi is a big problem for Bharati. You have got 4.2 megahertz, 6 megahertz in Delhi as far as 900 is concerned, and only 7 megahertz of the spectrum in 1800. So Bharati's coverage in Delhi as far as 4G is concerned is going to be very constrained because of very poor quality spectrum. Mumbai, if you look at Mumbai, in 900 megahertz they have got 5 megahertz of spectrum, and in 1800 they have got 15 megahertz spectrum. So this density of base station has to be significantly higher. Still, the in-building penetration will be very poor as far as Bharati is concerned. So if Bharati uses carrier aggregation, right, and they depend upon the 1800 megahertz band as well as the 900 megahertz band for their 4G coverage, in my view, that there are some critical circles, the 900 megahertz band is going to be useless because it doesn't have capacity. So Bharati has to rely on the 1800 megahertz band as far as 4G is concerned, along with the 2300 megahertz band where the quantum or spectrum of Bharati is quite good. So if you look at the 2300 megahertz band, if you leave aside the 2100 anyway, so you will find that the 2300 megahertz band, Bharati's capacity is quite good. So let's look at Bharati and 2300, and let me just show you. So you will find that Bharati has 30 to 40 megahertz of spectrum in all the circles. So even though Bharati has got 3 lakh base stations, its quality of spectrum from a coverage point of view is not good, not optimal it should be, even for providing 4G service, because it has to rely on high frequency spectrum. Now let's look at Reliance. Now Reliance is actually in a much better position. I have been telling this from the very beginning, and I believe this because Reliance's spectrum quality is very good. Now, if you look at Reliance's 800 megahertz band spectrum, you will see that Reliance has got 10 to 15 megahertz spectrum in all the circles as far as 800 is concerned. So this is the band which is primarily Reliance is using for 4G. And then Reliance has got 1800 megahertz band. Here also you will find that it has got 10, 10, 15. So in every circle, like in Delhi, Reliance has got 10 megahertz in 1800 as well as 10 megahertz in 800, which is a 4G net, because Reliance has deployed 4G separately and 5G separately. They have not mixed with each other. So Reliance's 4G coverage is with the quality of the network as far as spectrum is concerned is much superior than both BSNL as well as Bharati, because their 1800 megahertz quantum is also good, and they have a very good quality of spectrum in the low frequency band, and they have kept the 5G separate in 700 megahertz band. So Reliance is one more thing. Let's look at the 2300 megahertz spectrum as far as Reliance is concerned. So if you go to 2300 megahertz spectrum, you will find that Reliance's 2300 megahertz spectrum is very good, even better than Bharati, because it has got 40 megahertz in all the circles. So if you look at this is 40 megahertz in all the circles. Look at this. So it has got 40 megahertz in all the circles. So let me just show you here, my pen. All the circles, it has got 40 megahertz. So only thing the Reliance doesn't have is that it does not have spectrum in the 2100 megahertz band, which Bharati has. But with so many bands, we have got 800 megahertz band, then you have got 1800 megahertz band, 900 megahertz band, then you have got the 1800 megahertz band, then you have got the 2100 megahertz band, then you have got the 2300 megahertz band. Makes the device more complex from a carrier aggregation point of view. And that is why simpler the spectrum strategy or the spectrum for the operator, better the quality of the device, and the device will operate in a much more cheaper and optimal fashion. Because more the number of bands, more complex the device will become and more costly the device will become. So the best network that I find as far as 4G is concerned is of Reliance Jio, no doubt about it, because it has got 800 as well as 1800 and 2300. They are very good spectrum, and their quantum of spectrum in low frequency band is very, very good compared to both BSNL as well as for both Bharati. Now coming to the point about 5G spectrum. Now 5G we have already discussed, but I just want to touch upon this video also to basically talk to you about how BSNL is going to deploy 5G. Now BSNL doesn't have, unfortunately, spectrum in any other spectrum band to deploy 5G, because 700 is occupied by 4G. It can't deploy 5G in 700. 900 megahertz band, if you see BSNL, it is occupied in 2G, and there are not enough spectrum for BSNL to deploy anything else other than 2G spec, because BSNL cannot unwind their 2G spectrum. So let me just see BSNL. So if you see BSNL, so you'll find that BSNL 900 megahertz spectrum this 900 megahertz spectrum, 6.4 in all the circles. And if you add MTNL here, you'll see in Delhi also MTNL will have 6.4 megahertz spectrum. So all the places BSNL has 6.4. Now problem with that is that 6.4 have to be used. Even if you take out 4.2 and say I am going to have a layer of GSM, whatever is left out is going to be useless. Now let's add the vacant spectrum and see how much spectrum the government, if they want, they can give to BSNL. Now let's say if you add the vacant spectrum to 6.2, you will find that still you will not have enough spectrum for 4G in many circles. For example, in Delhi, 7.2 megahertz only. Now if you take 4.4 minus 7.2, you will not left with any spectrum to deploy 5G, even if this block of spectrum which is available is given to BSNL for deployment of 5G 900 megahertz spectrum band, because most of the critical circles, like if you look at Mumbai 7.2, Delhi 7.2, what is going to happen? There is no point in deploying 5G for as far as BSNL is concerned in 900 megahertz band. Now if BSNL cannot deploy 5G 900 megahertz band, and in 2100 megahertz band BSNL probably can, if they unwind the 2100 megahertz band and convert that into 5G, that along with the 3500 megahertz band can become an important, that may be an important strategy for BSNL to deploy 5G. But here is the but. Now let's say if you look at the 3500 megahertz spectrum as far as BSNL is concerned, you'll find a 70 megahertz spectrum in all the circles along with MTNL. They have not added MTNL here. And then I have got 2110 megahertz, but the coverage of these two bands are so poor that 100K tower location is not going to be sufficient for BSNL to do any meaningful 5G deployment. Their 5G quality will be very poor, but if they deploy is non-standalone, so they can say, okay, I'm going to use the 4G capacity. So most of the time their 5G customer will be lying in 4G network, which is 700 megahertz. So 5G network will remain unused because neither of these bands, the 3500 megahertz band as well as the 2100 megahertz band, will have sufficient coverage to be able to cover pan India with 100K base stations. So it's not going to be possible. But other players like Bharati as well as Reliance Jio can have a better 5G coverage because their tower density is much higher, right? But though Bharati will have a problem because their low frequency spectrum is not available. Reliance Jio has 5G spectrum in 700 megahertz band, so their 5G network will be much better because they, even if let's say they have only 10 megahertz, they can basically do refarming of their 1800 megahertz band and convert that into 5G with carrier aggregation with 1800 as well as 700. The quality of network will be much better. Bharati will have a problem because even if Bharati does a refarming of 1800 megahertz band, they will have to aggregate the 1800 megahertz band with the 3500 megahertz band because their 900 megahertz spectrum quality is very poor. Their quantum is very poor, right? So they don't have. In 800 megahertz, they have got some slices of spectrum in some circles, but those are not going to be sufficient. So our friends, I probably have done justice to this video to explain that why 100K base station for BSNL is going to limit them only to 700 megahertz band alone with 10 megahertz of capacity. Even if they overlay a 5G network on top of that, that network, 5G network, is going to be completely irrelevant because most of the time people will be locked into the 700 megahertz band. And if they want to implement carrier aggregation, their device will become more complex and that will create further problem. And the 2100 megahertz band, if they unwind and convert into 4G, the density of towers are not good enough for them to give any adequate coverage. So the carrier aggregation devices are also not going to serve any useful purpose. So thank you friends for your time. I hope that you understood the point. So BSNL still have a lot of challenges to meet, but even Bharati has a lot of challenges because of absence of low frequency band. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks a lot for your time. I'll come back to you with a new video next time.